Welcome to this week's edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host, Victor Rants, and I am the Comic Hero. You know what? The month of June just started a few days ago, and it's all of a sudden gotten unbearably hot. Usually, the first day of summer isn't until, I think, midway or near the end of this month. But it decided to come early. And to quote the late, great Johnny Carson, I want to tell this joke. I'll tell you, it's so hot, the Burger King said, if you want it your way, do it yourself. All right, in the Comicology 101 on Deadpool that I did a while back, what did I say was Deadpool's real name? Is it A, Wade Wilson, B, Matt Stryker, or C, Day Coulier? I'll reveal the answer at the end of the show, but for right now, let the ranting begin.
What you talking about, Willis?
Okay, there's only one thing I want to rant about, and it's this. A few days ago, I found out that Marvel was considering either canceling or putting the Fantastic Four comic and the Fantastic Four comic that's on the Ultimate Marvel line on hiatus, only because they weren't really pleased with what Fox was doing with the Fantastic Four movie reboot. I don't like that. I have a huge problem with it, and here's why. That's too extreme. For starters, I mean, I don't like what Marvel is doing, what Fox is doing with the Fantastic Four movie. I think the casting is horrible. I thought the casting of the original Fantastic Four was much better than this one now. Although I think the only two cast members that stood out in the previous two were Michael Chiklis as the Thing and Julian McMahon as Doctor Doom. They made that movie. Well, they made those two movies. I forgot about Rise of the Silver Surfer. And by the way, Doug Jones / Lawrence Fishburne as the Silver Surfer, they made that movie. They made the second one as well. If you don't know who, you're thinking, okay, what do you mean by Doug Jones / Lawrence Fishburne? Well, Doug Jones played the Silver Surfer, but Lawrence Fishburne provided the voice of the Silver Surfer. That's what I meant by that. But anyway, Marvel, yeah, that's too extreme. You can't just go to that. You can't do that just because you may be all upset about what Fox is doing with the Fantastic Four reboot, but at the same time, you're hurting the fans. And, I mean, when you're doing this, you're hurting the fans. You can't punish readers like me who have been reading this book since I've been reading Fantastic Four since 1998, and I've been following it, but I've known who the Fantastic Four was ever since I was 12. You can't do that, Marvel. You're better than that. You know, a long time ago, Stan Lee had said that at Marvel, they listen to their fans. Right now, you're hurting us. Like I said before, I don't like what Fox is doing with the movie reboot any more than you do. But to hurt us, the fans, that's taking things way too far. And to all my Facebook friends, y'all probably saw that post that I reposted the story that got out about that, and let me tell you, Marvel, think of something else to do. Don't go to that extreme and hurt fans like me that have been. And Fantastic Four, that's one of your longest running books. That's been around longer than the Avengers and the X-Men. There's only one book that's been around a lot longer than that, and that was Captain America. You can't, Marvel. I know what Fox is doing with the Fantastic Four. I mean, is totally unacceptable. Making the cast moves that they did, the writing the script that they did, everything. It's wrong. I understand that. But you're hurting the fans. Think of something else to do. Okay, that's the only thing I want to talk about. All right, this week, DC versus Marvel, it's Wonder Woman versus Lady Sif. Let's go. Welcome back to DC vs. Marvel. This week, it's Wonder Woman vs. Lady Sif. In the original DC universe, Wonder Woman was a clay figure brought to life by the magic of the gods. In the current New 52 universe, she is the birth daughter of Hippolyta and Zeus. Her powers are super strength, telescopic vision, super hearing, resistance to fire via her lasso of truth, flight, super speed, and astral projection. She also shares some of the same powers as her father Zeus, but are suppressed due to her wearing bracelets. Lady Sif shares powers common among all Asgardians, including enhanced strength, durability, and longevity through the consumption of golden apples. She is also highly skilled in hand-to-hand combat and proficient in the use of cold weapons. Who would win? This fight would make some of the fight scenes in the movie Gladiator look like schoolyard brawls. They would trade blow after blow for hours on end. Lady Sif would resort to using her cold weapons on Wonder Woman, and it would seem that the match would be over until it's revealed that Sif fired at an astral projection of Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman eventually grows tired of fighting and takes off her bracelets, thus unleashing the might of her dear old dad. Wonder Woman wins. And that concludes this week's segment of DC vs. Marvel. Well, I hope you enjoyed this segment of DC vs. Marvel, and I'll have another one up next week. Now, as promised, I have a Comicology 101 segment on the Hal Jordan Green Lantern. So without further ado, class is now in session. Welcome back to Comicology 101. This month I'll be discussing 4 of the Green Lanterns. This week I'll be discussing Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan is the most well-known Green Lantern. He was the first Earthman ever inducted into the Green Lantern Corps and has been heralded as possibly the greatest Green Lantern of all time. Hal is also a founding member of the Justice League of America. He has also been known as Parallax and the Spectre. Hal Jordan was born in Coast City to Martin Jordan and Jessica Jordan, the middle of 3 children with older brother Jack and a younger brother Jim. As a young child, he idolized his father, a test pilot who worked for Ferris Aircraft. At a very young age, he had to face his greatest fears when his father died in a plane crash right before his eyes. Despite his family's wishes, he followed in his father's footsteps and eventually joined the U.S. Air Force on his 18th birthday, turning up that very morning outside the Armed Forces Career Center before it even opened. Many years later, a dying alien named Abin Sur, a member of the Green Lantern Corps, crash-landed his ship in the Californian desert. Having selected a replacement officer for his position, the Power Ring chose Hal Jordan for his ability to overcome great fear. The ring and its abilities were explained to him, and he inherited the mantle of Green Lantern. Acting as a galactic police officer, it was his job to serve and protect all life in Sector 2814. He would soon learn that there were another 3,599 Green Lanterns across the universe, all monitored and powered by mystical creatures known as the Guardians. Hal retrieved training from some of the best the Corps had to offer, including Drill Sergeant Kilowog and his mentor Sinestro. During his training, Hal learned that Sinestro had been subjugating his home planet Korgar through fear using his ring. After Hal reported these acts to the Guardians and fellow Corps members, he battled Sinestro and emerged victorious. Along with the rest of the Corps, he then testified against Sinestro at his trial. Expelled from the Corps and banished by the Guardians to the antimatter universe as punishment, Sinestro became a sworn enemy to the Corps and gained a new Corps power ring, exacting the start of his revenge. As Green Lantern, Hal Jordan patrolled the galaxy and took on many missions in space. He continued to spend his time at home working at Ferris Aircraft, where he romantically pursued his boss, Carol Ferris. He would entrust his secrets to a young Eskimo lad who worked as his mechanic, Tom Kalmaku. Green Lantern was one of the founding members of the Justice League of America, along with Flash, Aquaman, Martian Manhunter, and of course, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. This group first banded together when they met to fight Apalaxians invading the planet and realized they worked much stronger as a team than any of them could have individually. Hal and Oliver Queen, aka Green Arrow, are good friends, often adventuring together and also getting along with his girlfriend, Dinah Lance, aka Black Canary. Hal was also friends with Barry Allen, the second Flash, who along with Hal were both founding members of the Justice League of America. Later still, Hal retained a friendship with their respective sidekicks, Roy Harper, aka Speedy, and Wally West, the third Flash. Something of a ladies' man, Hal had courted more than his share of beautiful women in his time. Of these women, to whom Hal had been closest to was Carol Ferris, who was also his boss when he worked as a test pilot for her company, Ferris Aircraft. Unfortunately, their relationship was repeatedly strained by Carol's position as Hal's boss and her dedication to running her company, as well as Hal going through a period of instability where he moved around constantly trying new jobs that did not suit him. Even worse, Carol was chosen by the Zamorans to be a Star Sapphire, a powerful supervillainess who repeatedly menaced the world, specifically men. One of the greatest secrets kept by the Guardians was that their infamous yellow impurity was in fact an alien ancient monster named Parallax, who they had imprisoned in their central power battery. Parallax was the physical embodiment of fear on the emotional electromagnetic spectrum, the opposite of green willpower. After the greatest tragedy of his life took everything he held dear, Hal became susceptible to fear, and the monster gained root in his consciousness through his ring. Through influencing his actions, it would eventually possess him and turn him in one of the greatest villains the universe had ever seen. Hal's home, Coast City, had been completely destroyed by the cyborg Superman and Mongol during the reign of Superman's story arc. In a gigantic explosion, reducing it to a smoldering crater. Returning to Earth after the events of Trinity, Green Lantern was horrified, immediately went after Mongol, and beat the Galactic Conqueror in single combat. Afterwards, with everything he cherished, piles of cinder and ash, Hal tried to use his ring to recreate Coast City in its entirety. This was a massive construct that required all of the ring's charge, and he began interacting with characters from his life who had perished in the slaughter. A projection of the Guardians was sent to him furious that he was using his powers for personal reasons and threatening him unless he immediately reported back to them for disciplinary action. Enraged that he would ignore the personal loss he had suffered in the name of the Corps and try to punish him for humanity, Hal, driven insane by grief, decided to meet them head on and clashed with the men who had destroyed his life. In this state of madness, he was intent on obtaining the vast powers so that he might recreate all he had lost. A team of the Green Lantern Corps' greatest warriors was sent to oppose him and stop him before he could reach their home world. Hal Jordan single-handedly went through several members of the Green Lantern Corps. He left all those he defeated floating in space and took their rings in his possession, adding them to his collection. Touching down on Oa, he killed Kilowog in combat. His greatest adversary, Sinestro, was released from imprisonment to act as the last line of defense, and Hal snapped his neck. Then, he entered the central power battery and absorbed the energies inside, killing the Guardians, effectively destroying the entire Green Lantern Corps. He emerged in the new identity of Parallax. As Parallax, Hal fought many of his former enemies and Kyle Rayner, the newest Green Lantern on Earth, while attempting to restore Coast City. He conspired with Extant to restart the universe and
attempted to sway others to his cause by offering them wealth and power in this reborn universe, the purpose of which was to set things right. Hal was ultimately defeated by Heroes of Earth. Hal seemed to gain clarity, healing the paralyzed John Stewart and resurrecting Oliver Queen, who had died in an explosion. He distinguished his powers and sacrificed himself to destroy the Sun Eater and reignite Earth's sun. Sometime later, the Spectre was without a host, and demons sought to use it to their advantage. With the help of the Sentinels of Magic, Hal became the new host for the Spectre. Hal attempted to bend the Spectre's mission from vengeance to redemption, using his powers to remove the Star Sapphire persona from Carol. However, the Spectre was the stronger of the two minds, and Hal had little success. But the Spectre had alternate motives for attaching to Hal Jordan. He explained to Hal that the parasitic fear demon known as Parallax had taken him over while it was trapped by the Guardians in the Central Power Battery, having been awoke and directed to Hal by Sinestro. Though Parallax was able to suppress Hal and take over the Spectre, Hal was able to fight off Parallax and separate both Parallax and the Spectre from his soul. Ganthet sent a beacon of light to guide Hal's soul back to his body, and Hal Jordan was reborn as the Green Lantern. Together, with Kyle Rayner, John Stewart, Guy Gardner, and Kilowog, they defeat Sinestro, foiling his ultimate goal of eliminating the Corps, re-imprison Parallax in the Central Power Battery, and the Green Lantern Corps is reborn. Seeking to atone for his actions while under Parallax's influence, he has become the Green Lantern of Sector 2814 once again. He also rejoined the Justice League, despite Batman's seeming mistrust of him. Hal's also got a new test pilot job at Coast City, where he subconsciously rebuilt while Parallax was re-emerging. Hal later helped rescue various missing Green Lanterns from the Cyborg Superman and the Manhunters on Bayet, including some he had battled during his Parallax-induced rampage towards Oa, as well as his former lover Aricia. Along the way, he fought Sinestro and his newly formed Sinestro Corps, help usher in new allies like the Blue Lanterns, meet new adversaries like the Red Lanterns, and Larfleeze the Sole Orange Lantern, and kill a Guardian gone rogue. He was stripped of being a Green Lantern for doing the latter, but eventually became a Green Lantern once again in due time. And there you have it, Comicology 101 on the Hal Jordan Green Lantern.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that Comicology 101 segment on Hal Jordan. Next week, Guy Gardner. All right, let's get to the comic books I bought this week.
Comic books I bought this week.
Up first is Action Comics number 32. This is a continuation of the Doomsday story arc called Superman Doomed. And before I go on with that, this is a variant bombshell cover that was done by artist Aunt Lucia. As a matter of fact, there are several books that are going to be coming out this month where they're going to have other bombshell covers. And now back to Superman Doomed. In previous issues, Superman goes up against Doomsday. Now keep in mind, this isn't the same Doomsday that you and I grew up with. This Doomsday is bigger, and he either kills people by either just knocking them out or infecting them. And infecting is exactly what he does to Superman. And he takes on a monstrous form. And I think after reading the last issue, he was also incarcerated. Not just for his protection, but for everyone else's as well. Because after all, he is now Doomsday-like. All right, up next is Amazing X-Men number 8. Now, in this issue, Wolverine goes back to Canada to visit an old friend, and he ends up getting ambushed by Wendigo. Now, Wendigo, for all of you who don't know, Wendigo is some kind of is this beast-like character that is originally a villain of the Hulk, and the first time Wolverine actually went up against Wendigo, ironically, was his first appearance in the Incredible Hulk number 181 back in 1974. And looks like this is a slight return, and judging by the cover, it's not just one Wendigo, it's a whole bunch of them. Alright, up next is All New X-Men number 27. Now, in this issue, these are some of the X-Men from the future who, in the story arc called Battle of the Atom that took place sometime last year, had decided to come back to the present day Marvel Universe to kill the 5 original X-Men who were in the present day Marvel Universe. And last I checked, the last time they went up against they tried to do this. The first time they did this, they failed miserably. But who's to say that won't happen again? All right, up next are Guardians of the Galaxy's number 9 and number 10. Now, in number 9, it's a tie-in to the Infinity Story arc that took place a few months ago, and they're pretty much, they've been called on to stop Thanos from arriving on Earth, but unfortunately, if you've been watching the show, you would know that, well, Thanos ended up arriving on Earth. He got stopped, but he ended up on Earth, and so I take it that the Guardians probably didn't work. The Guardians weren't successful, but I want to know how, because I just got this in the I just ordered this online from MidtownComics.com, and I just want to find out how close they were to doing so. And in number 10, it guest stars superstar artist Kevin Maguire. And this is also a fallout from Infinity, and it also serves as a prelude to a storyline that happens a month later called The Trial of Jean Grey, which is a crossover event with the All New X-Men book, and but it guest stars Kevin Maguire, who is a superstar artist. He has been penciling since the 80s, and he's most known for penciling old issues of Justice League, some of the Justice League books from the late 80s, and along the way he's also penciled books like Fantastic Four. So if Maguire is penciling this book, you know there's going to be just as much comedy as there is action. All right, that's 5 I bought this week, which brings the total number of comics that I bought since December of 1997 to 6,256. I was right. There is just much comedy in Guardians of the Galaxy number 10 as there is action. Well, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And by the way, earlier I asked what was Deadpool's real name. Is it A, Wade Wilson, B, Matt Stryker, or C, Dave Coulier? The answer is A, Wade Wilson. Keep in mind that next week's episode, the Comicology 101 segment of, the series of Green Lantern, I'll talk about Guy Gardner. And as for the DC Marvel segment, I won't reveal that till next week's episode. But I'm urging y'all. It seems like nobody wants to give me any suggestions for the show. I mean, I enjoy thinking of ideas for this show, but the show is not for me, it's for you. And so, if you have any ideas, just let me know. Alright, I'm Victor Nunley, I'm the Comic Hero. See you next week. Till then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero.